Hi, my name is Jeff Agano, and welcome to the Harpin and Rugby preview show. We're doing things a little differently this time. No contributor, just myself going solo. We'll see how I get on. One thing's for sure, this is going to be a lot quicker than it normally is. Now, before we get to our preview, just a quick look at the Irish Six Nations campaign so far. You certainly won't need me to tell you that things are going extremely well for the senior men's side, with a convincing win in Marseille in round one, plus last Sunday a win over the Azzurri at HQ, where the nil was definitely more impressive than the 36. We, of course, covered both these matches extensively in our wrap pods. This already has us in a commanding lead at the top of the table with a chance to extend it further next week when Wales come to Dublin. And on that, keep an eye on our podcast feed from next Wednesday morning, as I'll be getting an opposition view from Simon Williams, an author from the Welsh fan site Gwlad Rugby, who recently published a book simply titled Welsh Rugby, What Went Wrong. So as you can probably imagine, there will be plenty for us to harp on. Anyway, the news from the Irish camp sounds good, with talk of Gary Ringrose, Peter O'Mahony, Bundy Aki, and Ty Byrne all returning to the lineup, with even Hugo Keenan not ruled out from starting. Although, as valuable as he might be to the Irish side, it might be no harm going without him to both get him fit for Twickenham and also for us to look at some other options. And let's not forget the Irish men's under-20s, who also got off to a 100% start, although it wasn't quite as convincing with the late Sean Dugbu try needed to get past Italy in Cork last Friday. But it's still an overall impressive consecutive win record for Richard Murphy's Wolf Puppies, and they too host their Welsh counterparts next weekend. Right, now it's time to look ahead to our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Leinster v Benetton in round 10 of the BKT United Rugby Championship. The match kicks off on Saturday, February the 17th at 3 p.m. at the RDS Arena, with TV coverage on RTE2, Premier Sports, and URC.tv. For the full list of what to watch this weekend, head to harpinandrugby.com and click the Rugby on TV tab. Leinster named their starting lineup at lunchtime on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there in the screen. Or if it's the podcast, you'll see it in the program notes. Every Tuesday on harpinandrugby.com, we have our 80-plus column. What I usually try to do is use the injury report to work out what kind of team Leinster would go for. And while it's never an easy task, this week was nigh and impossible, especially when it came to putting together a backline. With doubts over Hugo Keenan's fitness that might make Kieran Frawley factor in Andy Farrell's plans, I couldn't see how we could avoid dipping down into the academy for the 15 jersey. And it turns out that's exactly what they did, with Henry McErleen, who started for the Irish 20s in all their success last season, getting a senior debut. But I think the real news here is at positions both 10 and 12. That injury report couldn't confirm the full fitness of Ross Byrne and Jamie Osborne, and it's a massive boost for Leinster to have both able to come straight into the starting lineup. Ross in particular may have designs on impressing the Irish coaching staff, but for now, their return means Leinster have exactly the right amount of experience and ability, especially with Luke McGrath at scrum half. I always harp on how important our defense is, but it's at this time of year when the squads can get a bit haphazard, when we really need the systems to click, especially given the lads will be adapting to the Nienaber way of doing things. Then when it comes to what we do with the ball, given the absentees, I really don't think we could have done a whole lot better than Rob Russell and Tommy O'Brien on the wings. I will be very surprised if at least one of them doesn't make their way onto the score sheet by full time. Now we move into the pack. And once again, Scott Penny is the captain's armband, although there's a whole lot of leadership to go around with Ross Maloney there to boss the lineouts, and I'm extra delighted to see the name Rhys Ruddock back on a Leinster team sheet. He's part of a very strong bench that also includes Ed Byrne and Michael Alatoa, also known as 5As. Once again, this is a set of forwards who have all impressed this season, particularly our starting props Jack Boyle and Tom Clarkson, so hopefully we'll have a good handle on our set pieces throughout. It's interesting to see Will Connors move over to the sixth position, although I very much doubt that's going to stop him from using his trademark chop tackling skills to mow down Benetton forwards. So speaking of our visitors, now's probably a good time to look at their lineup. We must not forget that they are currently lying second in the URC, and technically their record is better than ours because while we have more match points, they have just one loss to R2. Some might cynically point out that they get to play Zebra twice, but that alone doesn't account for their high position. I'd be more inclined to put that down to big away wins in both the Welsh and Scottish capitals, plus an unbeaten home record that includes the scalp of none other than the Stormers. Now, obviously, their squad will also be very much hit by the Six Nations, but their center pairing of Marco Zanon and Malachi Fekitoa will certainly test our defenses. And to be honest, I'd be really surprised if any Leinster supporter who has been following the league in recent years would ever make the mistake of considering this fixture a gimme at any stage of the season. Basically, if we offer them chances, they have plenty of ways to make us pay. Right. Now, a quick look at the officials for Saturday. Holly Davison of Scotland is holding the whistle for 11th URC assignment. You can see her assistance there. Now to the weather forecast for Dublin 4 on Saturday afternoon. It looks like it'll be mild enough, although possibly issues with rain and a southwesterly wind. So hopefully that won't actually pan out. Now to elsewhere in the URC, and all three of the other Irish provinces have trips to the south of Wales. At the time of recording, Munster are due to play at the Parky Scarlets on Friday evening. That certainly hasn't been an easy task in the past. However, the Llanelli side hasn't exactly been having their best season so far, which means Munster would be expected to get themselves back in top 8 contention. And they also have a certain Mr. R.G. Snyman returning to their starting lineup. Another team hoping to move up the table is Connacht, and they go to Leinster's next URC opposition, Cardiff, while on Sunday afternoon, Ulster will hope to put their disappointing Champions Cup campaign behind them when they visit the Ospreys. Now, one last thing here, I'd like to wish all the best to the Wolfhounds. If you haven't heard about them, they're a team newly formed this season to compete in the Women's Celtic Challenge competition. They roughly represent Leinster and Ulster, while the Clovers cover Munster and Connacht, although it doesn't always work out like that. But anyway, the Wolfhounds play in Edinburgh this Saturday with some big names lining out, like Hannah O'Connor and Linda Geogang, and the victory will see them clinch the title, so best of luck to them. All of which brings me to my prediction for our feature match. Normally, I get to avoid putting my head on the block each week thanks to the likes of Kigo, but I really should do it once in a while. Well, while I did go to a lot of trouble to big up our opposition, and I certainly don't think they'll make things easy, I have to do what I normally do and make my prediction based on what I expect from this Leinster side, especially in front of a home crowd. We need our pack to be solid at the set piece. We need Luke and Ross to get a grip on the game early. And like I said, if we can get our wingers into good positions, we should be looking at a bonus point. That's not to say we won't concede. However, it should be a relatively high scoring encounter, which I reckon will win by about 12 to 14 points. Okay, look, I'm going to leave it there. I hope to see you at the RDS on Saturday. If not, be sure to follow us on social media and leave your thoughts after the full-time whistle on our Facebook page. We'll be recording a rap pod on Sunday evening, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.